Welcome to the BMI podcast, guys.
Welcome.
We just sat here and chatted for about 50 minutes before we decided to start.
Yeah, exactly.
We got today we're talking about sort of a reset, or what was the other word that you sort of said for it, or
Let's just go with reset.
reset, reloading, or just
Reset, restarting.
Yeah, that's it. Resetting and restarting. Like when you're coming into roadblocks along the line of what goals that you're aiming for, even if you have small goals, but you sort of see yourself kind of veering away and not heading in the right direction. That's what we're talking about today. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing.
Definitely.
I realize we need
like and subscribe button.
Yeah, I realize we need to be saying it at the start when we're doing our introductions, so then we don't actually have to go and do a whole different bit.
Yeah.
But sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say, what are you finding at the moment with regards to the whole restarting or those roadblocks in particular?
Well, first I guess I'll go over what the problems I've had recently.
Yeah.
And it could relate to some people out there. I had a few occasions where I had to go out. I had some birthday parties and also catching up with friends I haven't caught up with in a long time. And that can be the problem, that when you are constantly goal orientated, you end up sort of swinging the other way when you finally give yourself, all right, I'm not in a program, I'm not doing the next challenge, or I don't have that next thing lined up. I'm sort of in not limbo. You still have goals in mind, but they're not as obsessive, or they're not as imminent to me, or as important. And then that's where I think I felt, I guess, the pull going back into the other side of just not becoming lazy. I didn't drop any of those good habits. So it's just all those little, I guess, as the young kids would say, dialed in, like being locked in, it's just those small little things that I am noticing I am moving away from as well. It's just not snapping, or it's I guess even with the training or my running that I'm still doing, it's not flowing, and it's not feeling like I'm getting the progress or anything like that. It's really stagnant, or yeah.
I mean, it's actually one of the main concepts that I talk about quite a bit within our business, which is navigating the grey. And I kind of distinguish it grey because most people come to their goals and it's very black or white, like diet culture, fitness culture, probably entrepreneurship, any kind of achieving of a goal. It's very on off. It's like, do this, don't do that, black white, and it creates this dichotomy. And it's all well and good. It's great while you're going towards it. You get the massive peak of motivation and momentum that you get from striving towards achieving those goals.
Yeah, for sure.
But the nature of goals is that inherently they will be black or white, unless you can try and find some kind of gray in between both of those. And the reason it's gray is because it's neither. You're trying to find or do things that inherently you otherwise wouldn't do because the carrot's no longer there. And it's all well and good. Well, again, we've got that carrot kind of dangling in front of us, and that carrot has to be big enough for us to go for it.
Yep.
It's fine while it's there, but when it becomes grey, the carrot's not there.
Yeah.
Or the carrot's too small. And so the carrot's there, but it's not that motivating compared to what we've experienced in the past.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't give us that same drive. And so what ends up happening is that, well, most of us just end up reverting back to white. And so again, it's just on, off. And we typically go off for long enough until we've got enough motivation to go back on again.
Yeah.
And we just jump between the two. And it's actually trying to, one, I think, figure out whether or not you're in that kind of goal orientation, or you're in kind of goal completion. And do you need to be on? I don't know. You literally had signed up for a half marathon in 6 weeks' time, and so that half marathon is knocking on the door whether you like it or not in 6 weeks' time.
Yeah.
You've joined an 8-week challenge, and you're 4 weeks in, and you've got 4 weeks to the end of it. You, regardless, if you don't do it, you just won't finish it, versus if you actually complete it, that kind of thing. So is this something that I need to do because they're the goals that I've set myself, or I've got a timeline in place, or whatever?
Yeah.
or is it just something that I want to do?
Yeah, so like the reason why I sort of thought it might be a good idea to talk about this is because it's I'm not really in that I've signed up for anything. I've set a little, I guess, a little wager with myself, but it doesn't really hold like the value of Live Hard did or 75 Hard did. It was more just like realizing, all right, I have high ambitions, and just in life, it's not even just a fitness goal or a target for how much I want to weigh. It's just, I guess, trying to lock in and try and actually get the most out of my daily habits that I can. They say, show me what you do, and I'll show you. Show me what you do every day, and then I'll show you what you'll look like in 3 years. Show me what you've done. Was it 3 years ago, and I'll show you what your life will be like. It's sort of like you got to be doing that stuff day in and day out. I definitely botched that, but it doesn't matter. You get the fucking point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's all those habits that I've really honed in this year, and then I've developed them probably the last 3 years. But now it's just sort of fine tuning them all, and then I sort of see myself kind of going away from them. It's not super far that it's actually being detrimental to my my weight. I actually haven't gained any more weight. I don't think I've gotten fitter though. That's the thing. Like I think I sort of sat there, whereas I know that I was, continuously making a bit more progress because I am doing my Garmin coach running. So like it's not really for that. It's more just like realizing, all right, like this is what I'm going through, and like I'm just giving my thoughts and just noticing those little habits and those habits forming of the negative, or just letting the cold showers going. That would be a prime example that I would say for everyone. I was doing that religiously, probably almost coming up to a year, and then I had a few nights out, and then just up all night, and then had shit sleep after shit sleep. But also the thing was, as well as I'm doing this while also I actually didn't let up on any of my training. So me and Judith were talking about it yesterday. I was like, I should realistically, if I ever fuck myself by going out all night or drinking with my mates, is maybe get that rest in as soon as I can to do the reset. Whereas I just went straight back into sweet. I got my run. I go to the gym, and then we've had not record breaking weeks, but we've been really close to like some of our best weeks consistently, week on and weekend, week on and week on and week on. Like it's been, I guess, sort of like snowball effect, and then it kind of was like hitting me, and then a few of the things kept dropping off, and it just kept coming to my mind, and that's why I was just like, oh, maybe we should talk about it, and because I feel like a lot of people probably go through that as well, not necessarily stopping them from their goal. It's more just like, have you noticed those things that you were religiously doing, like day in and day out, like probably your habit tracking and stuff, or reading? That's something that I noticed that I am missing from the daily routine.
Have you noticed anything, or have you done anything to kind of pull yourself back in line since
I
since
tried
noticing that?
Yeah, I tried. Like I tried to, okay, all right, let's go back to my daily habits. I'll be writing down, and I'll try to plan them the next day. I'm gonna be honest here, I would just be creating excuses like for that next day, because we were busy and I was tired, and I could probably go through my my sleep data and show you I've had one decent sleep in the last 4 weeks. I've been getting good amount of hours, but like when you go on, it tells you the quality of your sleep, and I haven't had deep sleep probably in like 3 or 4 weeks. And then it's annoying because I was like, well, surely because I'm exhausted, I'd be just jumping straight into the like boom, knock me out. Yeah, that's it. Like a lot of these things are building up, and so that was what I was trying to do. I was trying to do those daily habits, and then I also just trying to get the cold shower back in there. And then I noticed like the days from reflecting, the days that I got that shower in, it was the days I tended to get more of those other tasks done.
Did that help bring the showers back in or not yet?
No, so that's the thing as well. Like, fuck, it's negative 1 degrees every morning now that I'm getting up to go to work. Like it's tough. I'm still creating excuses for myself. Like, but at least I guess acknowledging it, and it's in the back of my mind, and it will be. I don't need to get everything that I had in place back in place all flick of the switch. It's more just like I'm just thinking out loud here on the podcast, and just like, all right, this is what I'm going through, and it might be good for others to hear as well, because it's not, like I get it all the time. Like, oh, it's, I don't have the drive like you do, Aaron, or I don't know how you do it or anything like that. It ain't fucking easy, It's sort of like how I talked to you about like how I thought your eating habits were like just so dialed in that it just wasn't even a hassle for you. It's really hard for me to work every single day, focus on my health every single day, try to grow this podcast, or even that was one of the other things as well, was not getting to the podcast, getting it out on the week that I've been wanting to on the day, and then also getting the clips done. It's just, there's been a lot, but like, it's like I just said, I'm just creating excuses, but it can be a lot.
Well, so I mean, ironically, the brain actually does a cost-benefit analysis on everything like that. So whenever you, like, subconsciously, whenever you come
I like that actually. It cost-benefit analysis?
Cost-benefit analysis. I can't remember what region of the brain, but there is a region of the brain that's literally designed for that. I think it might be the amygdala, but again, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. Where essentially it's subconsciously doing, should I do this? Like, if I do this, what's the repercussion of doing it? What's the benefit of doing it? That kind of thing. And a lot of the times when use the cold shower, for example, it's already done the calculation. It knows that the benefit of sitting in the cold in -1 degree when you don't really want to, like, it already knows that you don't want to.
Yeah.
And if you look at your self-talk likely the night before when you're thinking about the shower in the morning, there's already a hint of giving yourself an out in that previous conversation.
Fucking 100%.
Yeah.
Literally, it's decided before I even wake up. I don't wake up in the morning and decide then I'm going to do it. It's always
the night before or whenever you've last thought about it. And that's what I mean. Like,
because what I do, is I check the weather. And then I see how fucking cold it is. And then I go, well, I guess I'm not going to do it either.
And that's it. We can have these great intentions, but a lot of the time, unconsciously, we've actually already made up our mind.
Yeah.
And it's the same with food. It's the same with any of those things that we want to be doing.
Yeah.
Or don't want to be doing.
Yeah.
And so we've got that problem kind of already going on one level.
Yeah.
And the other level is you're probably more aware of your shortcomings now that you're aware of what you can and want to do. And so you kind of almost put your behaviors or your habits on this pedestal. And again, that can be the same as any goal. That could be, well, I'm used to making, I don't know, $100,000 a week, or bloody, I'm used to reading a book every day, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You have this ideal, and I think of that like your identity. Like, I'm that person.
Yeah.
For me to be me means that I need to be this person. For me, during a period of time, that was a bodybuilder. So I have to do all the things that a bodybuilder does. Another period of time, that was marathon running. And so for me, I was a runner. And so if I didn't run that day, then I wasn't me.
Yeah.
I had attached my identity to this arbitrary goal or this thing that I was trying to accomplish. And entrepreneur is another one, or go-getter is another one. Like, all of these lists of tasks that I have to do is basically just what it means to be me. And, one thing, I think it's somewhat healthy, even though it's not necessarily positive.
I think we definitely agree, like, on these sort of concepts as well. Like, it's that, it's not necessarily bad, but it's sort of bad.
Yeah. Like, I think it's at least a showcase, potentially. It's a healthy ego, rather than healthy psychological function.
Yeah, like, we could be going and doing much worse things for ourselves.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think actually the notion that you're noticing that you're missing doing them is your identity or your ego kind of being like, hey, what's going on? Like, why are you not doing those things? This is what we used to do. Remember, you wanted to be that person?
Yeah.
It's like the knocking of the door, like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to? Which is, you want those reminders.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have those reminders, you would end up back at square one.
For sure.
And so by nature of those knocks on the door being there, they're actually those little like voices being like, hey, like don't stray too far from the norm. Like you've got the blinders on, and it's like it's just tapping on either side of it, being like, yeah, like bring that one back in line, bring that one back in line. No, maybe not too much of that. Remember when we didn't do that?
Yeah.
And
it's those gravitational pulls coming from. I definitely think like humans will always have that gravitational pull towards comfort, and that's sort of why I wanted to talk about it as well. It's just like, but I have such a huge pull in my own mind, or like the want for what I want, that I still have that there, but it's just it's not draining out my main vision, and that's why it's like it's really hard to sort of just flick the switch and then you're back on. And I definitely hear what you're saying, like that identity thing, and that's what it was. It is me realizing like, hey, you've told people this is your goals, this is where you want to be, and right now you might not get there if you continue slacking off, I guess.
Yeah. And it's that own kind of like inner critic that, again, the repercussion of it is negative because it's obviously like negative self-talk.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can be sympathetic towards it because it's serving a purpose. And the purpose is like, it's that hello realignment. And it is do you still want this thing?
Yeah.
And almost that kind
It's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Like it's are we still on?
We still doing this?
Yeah.
And again, I think it's very similar with any goal, and that's, we have to actually have an adult conversation with ourselves of, do you still want it, or do I still want it? And I feel most of the time we're pressured to saying yes. And again, we've already done the cost-benefit analysis on this shit, and we just don't want to. Like, it's probably better to get to the realization of just being like, no, I don't want to fucking do a cold shower in the cold. Like...
Yeah, so that's where, that's where my thinking has been going.
Yeah.
But then I also go, well, fucking, that's just your inner bitch trying to negotiate for a later start date on these cold showers again, Like, that's sort of what's happening in my head is, maybe when we get to the other end of, like, winter, when and we're coming towards spring or something, just like, but that's what... that's why I'm talking about it, because this is literally what's going on in my head.
Yeah.
I was even thinking about doing my, my Aaron Won't Stop Instagram page. It's just like all my thoughts of before the run, and then like do one like after the run, and like some of the shit that comes through my head. I think would be interesting for people to hear.
Yeah.
But then I also know there'll be a lot of people that will relate. And just one prime example was I did an hour and 45-minute run, which I've never done an hour and 45-minute run before. And I also, at the start of that day, I was pretty sore. My whole body was like from just working out the whole week. And then I also was just like, the watch gives you a morning report, and at the end of it, it has like make today great, or it was like listen to your body. That particular day, I was like listen to your body, and I was just like fuck, I do. And then I said to myself like, man, I'll just do it on Monday. And then I'll take Tuesday off, and because it's just a long run, and I'd rather feel good for the long run. So, and then I was like, no, you, what's the motto for the year? Like, embrace the difficult.
Yep.
Like, that's literally what I've been trying to do all year, and that's when it just snapped me again to go out and actually do it. And then we got I won't even go into the thoughts of during that run. Like, fuck, man, like just the 5-minute negotiations with myself just to don't stop. Don't stop. And like, I only stopped once because I had to eat. I had to eat some lollies and to refuel with water. And because I noticed it, like coming up. So, because I know that you said I should do it every 45 minutes, but in my head, I was like, fuck, I run an hour all the time. So I said, I'm not stopping until I do an hour. I know, but do you get what I mean? Because I'm trying to not let my inner bitch win. I think that's the most important thing for me. At that, I know that I probably could do with a bit more of nutrients and some carbs in the system and water, considering I was pretty dehydrated.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Digress.
yeah, it's just those thought patterns, that I'm
100%.
just trying to overcome. You know, I don't want them to. I want to have control of the actual thoughts instead of those other thoughts winning. If you know what I mean, like I want the go-getter thoughts to always win. I always want one side to be winning more, like, 85, 95% of the time. 100 would be ideal. But, we're realistic here, like instead of right now, we're teetering between 55 to 45 when I was functioning at 90, 95 for months and months and months on end,
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's why meditation for me is like so critical in the morning. Like that's why it's probably been my number one priority above everything else. And that's purely because meditation is literally the act of looking at that thought and catching that thought. So that thinker, that devil on the shoulder, the positive and the negative thinker all comes from the same thing, your own head. And meditation is literally the act of catching that. And so when you're sitting there, you realize that is just the natural state of the mind, or at least my mind. And when you're going through and you're focusing on your breath, What am I going to have for dinner today? Oh. And then you're focusing on your breath, Oh, what do I need to do after this? Oh, coffee. Have I had a coffee this morning? And you realize
is that what you use? You're focusing on your breath. Is that what? Because I
started with breath, but it can be anything. I actually really like sound. Okay. So like if you've got some almost like white noise or like a heater's a really good one because it's just like in the background constantly.
Yeah.
But I meditate in the lounge and the dogs are sleeping there, so you can only hear them snore. So they're a good one too. Birds chirping because it's in the morning. So there's always something. Like I think there's only one place, maybe if that, in the whole world where there's no sound, and it's fucking unreal. Like you can't get any sound. It's like a cave.
Yeah, I think I've seen something like that. Yeah. I've seen a person build a room as well, and then apparently if you sit in it, you go insane.
Yeah. Like
I think the longest anyone's ever lasted was like close to an hour. That's how how much the human mind needs active sound around it, or just the ability to,
it's so even normal.
Like just when they talk, it's because so they make it soundproof, and then it was like complete in darkness as well. So that's why they couldn't. They just thought people were whistling. Like they started hearing sensory deprivation.
Like there's retreats and things you can do where that's the goal. Where literally you go into the wilderness and get chucked into a cabin and it's just pitch black and you just sit there in pitch black for 5 days, and it's just like, and at that point, which is no different to just closing your damn eyes, like you're in the same pitch blackness, like right there, and you quickly realize though that that's the normal state, and the goal isn't to change the state. Like normally when we do it, and then there's ego right there. It's like, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to beat the brain. It's like, no, you're not. You didn't even know that you were going to not talk yourself out of the damn shower in the morning. You ain't going to win the brain. It's like you go into it and you just notice just the chaoticness to your own mind. And each time you notice it, you become better at noticing it. And so then the trick is you can catch yourself thinking about the shower. You can catch yourself thinking about the run. You can catch yourself thinking about how sore your feet are while you're running. Like you're catching the thought rather than just getting lost in them. And normally when you can catch the thought, if you can catch it early enough, then you get the opportunity to bypass the thought. Then you get the opportunity to let it go. Most of the time we're too far down the line of, well, we've thought about this for about 5 minutes without realizing that we're thinking about it for the last 5 minutes. And now we're starting to notice that we're thinking about it for the last 5 minutes. What a dumbass for thinking about it for the last 5 minutes. We're still lost in the same lost thought pattern.
Bro, I got 4 hours sleep last night. Fucking terrible, man. And I'm not even kidding. I was thinking about how I can't fucking fall to sleep for 4 hours. So I go to sleep quite early. Yeah. So and normally I'm always a 30-minute. Like my mum would think, but it's never like last night was. But not only that, it's because also Judith's quite sick as well. So she's been snoring and she's not well, and I can hear it. And I think that's also made me not button off. Like,
yeah, well, the funny thing is, right? Like, you're thinking about the sound.
Yeah.
Like, the same thing is still occurring. You're still thinking, but this time you're thinking about the sound.
Mine was, I was thinking about how I can't stop thinking about the next thing, and then I'll be like, and then I'll rethink again about how I can't get to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man. And then, so what I try to do, like, because I've had this my whole life. I've had days where I just fucking, mine just won't stop going.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll subside, like usually an hour.
Yeah.
Like hours, like quite bad.
Yeah.
And then when they're really bad, I tell myself, don't fucking look at your watch, whatever you do. Because the times I've done it, like, I was like, okay, well, maybe I've heard my music stop, and I know I play a playlist, and that's at least 2.5 hours. So I know that I am like, okay,
and I went to bed at this time, plus 2 hours from that time.
Yeah. So last night I just fucking gave in because I was like, this is fucking wild. I was like, 1:58 a.m. and I was like, God, like I need to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And but that's a weird one, like how my mind and those thought patterns anyway,
and it's that can be one end of the spectrum, and then the other end of the spectrum can literally just be like, oh, I feel like some chocolate. Like that can be the opposite end of the spectrum where it may not have any governance over what you're doing or negative action, but it's still thought. And again, meditation for me is just the ability to catch the thought. And then as soon as you realize that you're thinking, like it almost just becomes a joke. You're like, as soon as you said it, like I was thinking about trying to not think. Like it's as soon as you realize
it is an actual joke. Yeah.
You're like, oh, for fuck's sake, like.
But sometimes, in my opinion, well, for me, sometimes my mind's stronger than some days, and then sometimes normally I can just be like, fucking shut up, bro. Like, stop thinking about it, stop talking about that in your own head, and like just think. I used to like go, just think about just hitting a fucking table tennis ball across the table or something like that, like something stupid, or hitting the top bins and like with the football, like.
Sometimes just noticing it, like just being like literally that, oh, I'm thinking about thinking.
Yeah.
Like the more you can catch it. And like I said, like the further you go down the rabbit hole, it's almost like the cost benefit's almost just taken over at that point. Like you're almost so lost in thought that it starts to go further than what it would be if it was, I just feel like a chocolate kind of thing, right? Like you might have had that thought, then it passes, or, oh, my feet are sore while you're running. And that's the start. But if you keep focusing on my feet are sore, by the end of an hour 45, that's a dark run.
Yeah, because you're constantly got that in your head. Whereas if you can get your mind off it for a few minutes at a time, circles back to being sore, but at least you have like 80% of those minutes outside of thinking of actively, my feet are sore. Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
And I mean, like, when it comes to, I think resetting and restarting literally is the foundation of breaking that chain of thought, but also the practice of meditation, which is just begin again.
Yeah.
And I always say to clients, like, regardless of whether you've had a good day or a bad day, we have the exact same option. Begin again. Like, if you've had a good day, you still have to start again.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just magically get another good day.
Yeah.
You still have to do the same shit. And you have to do the same shit as if you had a shitty day. If you did absolutely nothing, or if you did everything on your to-do list, we're still the same person in the exact same situation the next day. You have to start again.
That's a good point. Like that you brought up there. That's what I noticed when I was locked in or dialed in, is it didn't even matter if I had a shitty day, good day, or anything like that. All the tasks got done regardless. And then it's over these days, it's like, oh, I'm having a good day because I've got my tasks done. Like, and then the next day is like, oh, I fell short. And then I chalk it up as, oh, that was a bad day because I didn't get all of them done. By the way, I'm probably still fucking doing like way more than the majority. Like I'm still smashing all of my workouts. I haven't missed them. I haven't missed any of them. It's just those small nuances, those small little things that I would like to, for myself, get them done, because these are things that were important to me.
Well, and maybe it's just reassessing the importance of them now. Square peg, square hole. Trying to do the things that I'm currently trying to do still align with what I actually want to do? Like play a conscious cost benefit analysis. So write that tape out to the end. And so it's like, well, your brain's already doing part of that process.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, you do it consciously. And so sit down. It's like, okay, well, what benefit do I actually get from doing the cold shower in the morning? Is that any different to just waking up at the same time and not doing the cold shower? You know, what does the cold shower actually give me? And can I read instead of going in the cold shower in the same amount of time? Like, does that give me the same amount of win for the day? I don't know. Like, play the tape out.
Yeah.
And just see, are the things that you're striving to emulate actually going to be needed for whatever situation you're in right now? Like, the cold shower served the purpose because you needed to do it in order to live hard. And so it served the purpose.
Yeah.
And there's benefit from doing it. Like, you've realized the benefit from doing the cold shower.
Just you thinking out loud here now, I completely agree. I probably should actually feel that process out. What'd you say?
Run the tape through.
Run the tape through. Yeah. So like that's what I'll probably do. The cold showers need to come back. It's I think it's been paramount to the success that I've been doing. It just sets me up. I think how much I've talked highly of it in the past podcasts. You know, I couldn't just go and get rid of that because it actually, for me personally, I've found it very good, and that's why I think it was always. That's the one that I bring up first when I tell people, I'm needing to do a reset, like, because that's the one thing that I go, fuck, I need to be getting that back in there. Like, that's my one thing. Probably reading as well, you know.
For me, like, when it comes time to putting them back in, try and you start running that tape through, run through the positives.
Yeah.
You know, run through those things that are, like I said, like, for me, meditation is the non-negotiable. So if I don't read or if I don't journal, I don't worry about that. Like, that's second tier to me being able to just sit down and in my own thought, because I've realized that by doing that, I'm practicing the skill that all those other things do anyway.
Yeah.
And so I just do that. And there might be some days where that's the only thing, but I've run that tape through enough to be like, okay, I just need this shit.
Yeah.
And it might be the same thing with the cold shower. Like, once you actually sit down and you're like, oh, well, it gives me this benefit. It gives me this benefit. Like, I like it because of this. Normally, if I cold shower, all of this happens.
Yeah.
If I don't cold shower, all of this happens.
Yeah.
But then realize you have the exact same situation tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you cold shower today or if you didn't cold shower today, you have the exact same situation tomorrow morning. Do I hop in that cold shower? And at that point, like, for me, that's where the training of meditation comes in, because if you can catch that thought of, oh shit, I don't want to do it, rather than just identifying with, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Most of the time we identify with that, and the thought of, I don't want to do it, you think that you don't want to do it, but it's just another thought.
Yeah.
It's the same as, I want a chocolate cake.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. That's actually some pretty good advice, to be honest. I'll run the tape. I'll analyze it a bit more, and probably a good point to call it there. You know, like, I was just sort of thinking, like, just get my thoughts out there. This is what I'm going through. It could be interesting for others because a lot of people will be going through this sort of thing as well. And I thought maybe it's good to hear other people talk about it instead of just you internalizing it in your own head. Yeah. And that's a really good advice at the end there. I think for people listening, run that tape through, figure out what the pros and cons are of the things that you are worried that you're not living up to, or the things that you aren't implementing that you used to, and then just assess whether they can be filtered back in. And then you don't necessarily have to, and that's for me, I'm probably going to flick a switch. It's probably going to be 2 switches for me. I'm going to be able to influx the main ones, and then I'll pick the other couple, I would say, on the back end is what I'm thinking in my head. This is me thinking out loud right now. Just for others out there, if they're sort of thinking like, oh yeah, okay, go through, and then you go, oh well, there's so many pros, but then it's like, well, how are you gonna just throw them all back in there? Like, especially because everyone will have a different scenario. You don't fall off of these things now because
they were already easy to do.
They were easy to do. Like, it's like things that might have changed in your life. Like for me, example, busier, running more.
100%.
It's just. It's some things do got to give, and then that's where you got, I guess, running that tape through will be handy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, awesome.
Leave it there.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.